Dear Matsons, we raised our children in the church, and my 17-year-old just told me that she no longer believes in God. Help, what do I do? Sincerely, heartbroken mama.
Yeah, that's a hard one. And I just actually hear something that is really positive in that, and that is that your daughter told you. Oftentimes, kids who grow up in the church, they fear telling their parents what they really think or what they're questioning and doubting. And the fact that your daughter told you says a lot about your relationship, and that she's not hiding it. But it still is a heartbreaking message, and nothing a parent wants to hear, especially when you're trying to lead her in the way of Jesus. So that's the first thing that I just want to give you a little hope, to know that she's talking to you about it and to lean into that. And it's a temptation at that point to want to try to tell her more, to convince her, to maybe start going down those theological roads or explaining why Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And instead, in this season, especially during those teen years, I'm going to encourage you to listen. It's going to be counterintuitive, but to ask those clarifying, curious questions. Tell me more. Help me understand. I want to know more about that thought, and follow her lead to just be curious about why she's making this decision. And honestly, majority of people that walk away from the Lord at any part of their spiritual journey, it's not really because of God. It's often because of people.
Yeah.
And so there's somebody or something in her story that's contradicting with her understanding of who God is, and be curious about that.
Yeah. And I think we want to encourage effective listening. And this is a great way that you can do what you just described. Effective listening involves three things. And I'm one that needs just very clear ideas, that bullseyes that I can aim for, right? And maybe you're, as a listener watching this today, can relate to me in this. But when you taught me effective listening, and I've been practicing it everywhere I can because it works, and I want to get better and better at it. So what is it? Mirroring, validating, and empathizing. And maybe I'll take a stab at mirroring here.
Okay.
And that's when someone's sharing. So when your daughter's sharing with you, and you're being invited into that conversation, and you're staying curious with her, you're asking her questions, but then you're kind of mirroring back, you're holding up a mirror, the things that she shared. This is powerful because every one of us wants to be seen and understood. And so when you're doing that and saying, what I heard you say was, and you're not interpreting, you're just literally repeating the things that she shared. Not robotically, but just specifically, and you're not adding to it, right? You're just, did I get it right? You ask at the end of mirroring, and the speaker, your daughter in this case, would say, yeah, she feels known, and you're hitting the bullseye with her.
Yeah, and then validating is that idea of saying, I could see where you're coming from at this stage of your life, your personality, your perspective. That makes sense how you got to that conclusion. Doesn't mean that you necessarily are saying, I agree, or that's right. You're just saying, yes, I can see if I put your glasses on, I can see through your lens. And that just helps to calm her brain, to remind her that you're safe to keep talking and processing with her about this part of her story. And that's a vital piece. And then that last gold is called empathy. And it's different than trying to understand where she's coming from cognitively, but it's moving to that more emotional place. Do you want to explain empathy?
Yeah, it's just, you could look at her and say, I can understand why you felt afraid to talk with me or to talk to others about this, because we all go to church. We're all, we're not having some of the questions that you're having, and so on. And so I see that you're feeling afraid. I can see that you are upset at somebody that told you something that wasn't true, or that made you feel less than for asking these questions, like you don't have faith and put you down. You're joining in the feelings that she may be having, and you're saying that I'm with you. I'm with you, and I'm in this. Now, you may not be having the same feelings that she's having, but just, again, joining her is really all that she needs in that moment.
I think the last couple things we just say is, don't give up on your own prayer life for her. Keep praying. The story's not over. She's 17.
Yeah, the long game.
She is, keep the long game. And all of us go through a season of doubt at some point. And often, because she's grown up in the church, Her exposure to Jesus and the Bible and the church community has been maybe longer than someone that meets Jesus later at 25 or 35. And so that period of doubting and questioning is actually a part of normal, healthy spiritual formation. So if you can remember that and stay engaged, the key is for her to stay around other believers that are healthy, who are a proponent of toxic faith, and maybe bringing someone out, like a friend or a family member or someone who connects with her, that relates to her and her passions, but still is following Jesus. So keep that engagement in her life as best that you can. But don't give up on praying for her, and keep the dialogue open.
Well, if you like what you're hearing, subscribe to this channel. And remember that you're the right parent for the job, and Tara and I are here cheering you on.